Hello, welcome to the build guide for my Peak Performance Lancer. This is an incredibly strong build that I've been thoroughly impressed by the results with. It also uses a very easy to make and augment weapon, but does have some steep decoration requirements as well, so unless you get really lucky in that regard, consider this a late game build. Before we get into the build itself, I'll go ahead and show you the damage it does real quick here in the training ground. No item or tool buffs or anything, just regular knee. So for the first two hits, we've got 72 on a crit, 58 on a non-crit. For the third hit, we've got 88 on a crit, 88 on a crit. Well, whatever, it does about 72 on a non-crit. For the counter thrust, 131 on a crit, 131 on a crit. Alright, whatever. For a non-crit it does 105. And then for the charging stab, 131 on a non-crit. 131. And 164 is the crit number. I'm not going to keep doing that forever, but as you can see it hits pretty hard. And it's all raw damage as well, so there's no elemental requirements to get those numbers. And let's take a look at the build itself. So first for the weapon, we've got the Bareth Stinger. You might be able to do a stronger version of this build with like Perdition's Hand or Love's Sorrow, but since I've yet to get any Rarity 8 Augment stones, and one particular augment is pretty much necessary, I can't really test them. But this beast of a lance has 3 augment slots, level 1 and a level 2 decoration slot, plus 15 defense, and hidden element, which means you get non-element boost. It does have negative starting affinity, which means we won't be making this a crit build, but it makes for a high power raw build. For the augments, you want 1 affinity and 1 health regen. They're going to be mandatory in my opinion. And for the third one, I felt attack made the most sense, but that one's more open. But remember, there are diminishing returns on repeat augments, so a second affinity would only give 5%, and a second health regen isn't needed, so don't bother with that. For the charm, attack 3 is easy to make, and I'm sure most of you already have one, and it's really good too. Doesn't really need much explanation. Rock Steady because Rock Steady, and Affinity Booster because we could always use more affinity, so... For armors, we got the trusty Dragon King Eye Patch. It's going to give us 2 weakness exploit and the level 3 decoration slot. Kushawa's armor for 2 handicraft and level 2 slot. I've played around with different amounts of handicraft on this setup, and I found that 2 was the sweet spot. I've tried variations with 3 and 5, and 2 gave me enough to kill things without needing to sharpen, allowing me to focus on damage skills. And since Kushawa's armor gives 2, that means we won't need to slot it in elsewhere. And then the Xeno 3-piece. I have no idea if most other new players, by the way, this is my first Monster Hunter game, but I have no idea if most other people understand how important sharpness is and how worth it is to give up some armor skills in order to get either the Xeno or Teostra 3-piece bonuses. I was running a sharp decoration for protective polish for the longest time, but that only lasts a minute and you still have to sharpen. And yeah, that's fine if you're letting a monster run away whenever, but if you move past that and you're more interested in not letting the monster run away, then you need to be able to stay in combat, and with Lance, my goal is to never have to sheath my weapon, so my augment heals me, and my skills keep my weapon sharp. I'll talk about Teostra another time, since I only really use that on lances with white sharpness and affinity, but the Xeno 3-piece makes blue sharpness last a really long time, and the armor, or the skills on the armors aren't the worst things ever. Sharpness is damage, so consider it a damage boost, or more accurately, an extension. With the Xeno gloves, we'll get flinch free, which mainly helps with other players not online not annoying you as much, and more importantly, the big decoration slot. We've got level 2 blight resist from the waist, which against certain enemies it can be worth it to put in 1 decoration and get it to level 3, but not against all of them. And then it has 1 big and 1 small deco slot. And from the pants, we get another rank of flinch free, which again mainly helps. Well, I guess it doesn't really help that much. Rank 2 isn't super useful, but if you play in group slot, it can squeeze it in somehow. Decoration for rank 3 can prevent a few other annoying attacks online from other players. But the decorations, that's what's really going to bring it all together. Whoops. gosh, delayed. There we go. Thanks to Hidden Element, we can use an Elementalist Jewel for the additional raw damage. In 3 of our 4 level 1 slots, I like to use Expert Jewels for the additional crit. It isn't a ton since you don't really start getting decent returns on it until level 4, but it still makes up for one of our deficiencies. And then our 4th level 1 slot has an Attack Jewel to bring attack boost up to level 4 and get the 5% crit. We've got a Tenderizer Jewel for bringing our Exploit weakness up to level 3. And then my favorite part, 3 Flawless Jewels for level 3 peak performance. Giving a whopping 20 attack while active, that's only 1 less than a full level 7 attack boost for only 3 skill points. That's a massive return on investment. The only problem is you need to be at full HP for it to be active. Bareth's Stinger is the solution. Everything about it works towards making peak performance work. Let's bring that back up here. 15 defense, high raw damage, and a health regen augment. It even has a decoration slot big enough to house one of those peak performance jewels. Since lenses never stop attacking, that means you're always bringing your HP back to full. It works so well that my fastest Valhazard kill so far was even with this build, even though you're taking damage potentially the entire time in that fight. One augment on the lance is enough to stay at full HP for most of the time. As long as you counter or power guard everything in the game, you should be taking minimal damage anyways, especially since you have that extra defense on the weapon and hopefully have your armors upgraded. So as you can see, looking at the full skill list, it might not look that flashy, but that sleeper skill in the middle there, peak performance, makes a big difference. I've heard a lot of people mention making ranged builds that use it, and I've been impressed with this lance build that uses it. So hope you guys enjoy the build. If you want to see it in action, I'll have that Valhazard kill actually linked in the description. You can check it out here on my YouTube channel. But thanks for watching. Sorry this wasn't more entertaining. Build videos usually aren't, but if you want to see anything else, I'm mostly playing Lance. You can probably look forward to more build videos if you want. But yeah, let me know what you want to see. I'm always trying to think of what to do as far as content, so let me know. Thanks again for watching. Bye.